Members, good morning. It's the appointed time and we have a quorum. Let's get started. Agenda item 1, items for discussion at the next meeting. Based on the work plan for this year, and based on the discussion we had on the 9th of April, as well as our discussion with the administration on the 21st of April, the Secretariat has prepared a list of outstanding items for discussion. LC paper number CB bracket 1553/2026 bracket 01. The paper sets out the list of outstanding items as well as the tentative duty visits. We've already had the first duty visit. For the next meeting, we will discuss the following items: development of coastal and island tourism and water tours, and harnessing technology for ecotourism development. The next meeting will be held on the 7th of July at 9 a.m. It's a Tuesday. Now we move on to agenda item 2, review of tourism resources and the policy measures, strategies and projects for the development of ecotourism. The administration is here. Yes. Could we align the meeting time? The Secretariat, based on the availability of conference rooms, set the meeting time. Well, isn't it great that we have the meeting at 8:30? Can we have the meeting 30 minutes earlier? Thank you, Chairman. Now we move on to agenda item 2. Members who would like to speak, please press the request to speak button. I now invite the representatives from the government to join us. There will be a PowerPoint presentation. I will start first. Chairman, members. Today, together with the representatives from the CSTB as well as the AFCD, attend this meeting to discuss our review of tourism resources and the policy measures, strategies and projects for the development of ecotourism. According to the Development Blueprint 2.0, Eco plus Tourism is developed based on the balance of conservation as well as development. We have to make good use of the valuable ecological resources we have. We also have to reduce the potential impact on visitors to balance the needs for conservation as well as development. The CSTB as well as the Tourism Board has prepared the paper with us, and it sets out the resources we have, our policy measures on ecotourism. On popular attractions, it is said in the paper that we will explore potential management measures. That covers introducing reservation system along the Popinchao section near High Island Reservoir. Also, some tombola near the Sharp Island will be designated as protected areas. A development working group is led by the Deputy Chief Secretary, and it covers the Four Peaks Tourism Project. It covers 4 peaks, and the characteristics of these 4 peaks is that it covers natural scenery as well as unique roads, and also it has the relevant capacity to receive visitors. And we will introduce more information boards as well as interpretation panels. We work with also the tourism sector to promote relevant itineraries. Lastly, the paper cited overseas practices, and we hope to, based on the local circumstances, explore ways that we could manage attractions in Hong Kong. We'll adopt an incremental approach. We hope to step up education and publicity first, and with targeted approach as well as reminders, we will take law enforcement actions. We will, based on the circumstances, decide whether to take more stringent measures. I'll now defer to Ms. Fabia Tam to give a PowerPoint presentation. Perhaps I'll pass the floor to Ms. Tam here. Thank you, Undersecretary. Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, members. Hong Kong is a small city. However, we have our unique natural landscape. Last month, we went to Sai Kung for a visit, and members should be able to appreciate the natural scenery. Currently, there are 25 country parks, 8 marine parks, a wetland of international importance. We have also the Ramsar site as well as the UNESCO Geopark. We prioritize nature conservation as we protect the above areas. At the same time, we want to provide an opportunity for the public to get close to the nature, and that we want to educate them to protect the environment. In recent years, every year we receive about 12 to 13 million visitors. These attractions are very popular among the public as well as overseas visitors. According to the Tourism Board survey, in the first half of 2025, over a quarter of overnight visitors visited Hong Kong to explore the city, and that includes enjoying the natural scenery, and that's the major reason for them to come to Hong Kong. Just now I mentioned some important ecological sites. There are some measures as well as comprehensive laws that protect the above areas. As we strive to protect the environment, we believe that we can, where appropriate, display these resources to the public. As mentioned, we will pay attention to the number of visitors to see if there will be any ecological impact, and we hope to strike a balance between nature conservation and tourism development. We have set out some major principles. For example, we will not, at popular attraction sites, introduce facilities that are not favorable to the environment. For example, in areas with high ecological value, we try not to introduce facilities to affect the habitats. Based on the actual circumstances, for example, ecological sensitivity as well as capacity, we introduce support measures. As we promote green tourism, we hope to send out some messages to visitors. I believe you're all familiar with the message. We hope that people would pay attention to hiking safety and that they would protect the environment. And most importantly, we hope them to take their litter home. In recent years, we see that there is a greater visitor flow in green tourism sites. For example, during Golden Week holidays in the mainland, there are more visitors and we have stepped up management. For example, prior to Golden Week holidays, we would deploy strategies. For example, at the East Dam as well as other camping sites, based on the analysis from various departments, we deploy strategies. In terms of information dissemination as well as environmental hygiene, we also made preparation. For example, during the Labor Day Golden Week holiday, we employed similar strategies to step up management at Sai Kung East Country Park as well as Sharp Island. There are over 120 staff from the AFCD who were deployed to the above-mentioned sites. Now I'll talk about two popular attractions, for example, in Sharp Island as well as the East Dam. After the opening up of the viewing point in 2024 at the East Dam, we deployed some strategies. For example, there is currently water supply and we're working on the power supply now. There are some information signs and we have enhanced these direction signs. We see that there are more and more visitors going to the East Dam in recent years, so we have to work on transport management, for example. You can see on this slide that on the bottom left corner there is the screenshot of our website. Prior to Golden Week or during popular weekends, we disseminate information on the website. We hope to disseminate information to the visitors so that they can be prepared as they plan for their itineraries. The middle picture here shows the foot of the mountain on Po Pin Chau, and a lot of people go to the viewing deck in Po Pin Chau. The viewing area is not huge, and during peak periods, we together with the AFCD as well as the police force manage crowds there. Simply put, if there are too many visitors there, we try to cut off the queues. We hope to enrich and enhance visitors' experience as they appreciate the scenery on the viewing deck. We also make use of cross-departmental efforts to manage transport. In terms of minibuses, we have increased the frequency of services. During Golden Week holidays, minibuses will provide services until all the visitors leave the East Dam. The road sections are single-lane accesses to the East Dam, and so we try to manage crowds as well as public transport services, and we also try to combat irregular activities. And we believe that we've yielded results and that situation was under control during the past 2 Golden Week holidays. As said, the viewing deck at Po Pin Chau is not huge. We noticed that during previous Golden Week holidays and during peak periods, the East Dam has reached its capacity. So apart from cutting off the queues, we are trying to explore whether there are better ways to manage crowds. The purpose is that we hope to diverse visitors and crowds. We noticed that after the opening up of the viewing deck in 2024, there have been more visitors. And we hope that by managing crowds, we'll be able to improve the situation. Currently, we are studying the entire strategies as well as publicity campaigns. We hope to introduce a reservation system, and we will announce the details when we have the relevant implementation arrangements set out. The next popular point is Sharp Island in Shai Kung. It's at a very convenient location, and you can take the ferry to Sharp Island. It's a destination chosen by many short-haul visitors. On the 2 sides of Sharp Island, there are corals. So we hope to designate the 2 sides of Sharp Islands that are the coral areas, including the Tombolon, as a marine park. The marine park will be of a size of 63 hectares. We hope to conserve corals by doing so. After designating it as a marine park, people can still have water sports there, such as snorkeling and kayaking. However, there will be designated areas for snorkeling as well as kayaking. At the same time, we hope to identify an area on the island as a control point, which will serve as the liaison point for visitors. And we will also make use of that area for education and publicity purposes. There will be patrol teams conducting patrol on the water to manage crowds as well as to divert visitors. We have talked to the relevant stakeholders in terms of designating the areas as a marine park. We have heard many views. Most of the groups that we have reached out to are of the view that they support the designation of the marine park. There is a statutory designation procedure that we have to go through if we are to designate it as a marine park. So we will allow the public to provide their views during the consultation period. If time allows, I'll ask the Deputy Director of the AFCD to elaborate.
On the 1st of May, we implemented management measures and we saw the results. We worked with NGOs for promotion, we have patrol, we divert visitors. Before we implemented the scheme on marine parks, we will continue to implement these measures for crowd management. And we'd like to brief members on other projects. In 2024, the working group on developing tourist hotspots was set up. We promoted 4 peaks tourism projects. That is the Peak, Lantau Peak, Tai Mo Shan, and Sai Kung Hoi. We encourage visitors to explore non-conventional places in order to appreciate nature in Hong Kong. At the same time, we also want to promote green tourism alongside stimulating economic development in Hong Kong. The following are the factors we have taken into account. As I mentioned just now, these 4 peaks come with their own special characteristics and they can draw different visitors. Say the peak, you can see the beautiful landscape and cityscape. You can also see cultural heritage. In Sai Kung Hoi, you will also appreciate our shoreline, which is splendid. These are accessible locations. Most of the visitors will finish their tours within half a day. There are supporting facilities nearby. In other words, they can accommodate even more visitors in order to sustainably develop green tourism. You can see the locations of the 4 peaks in this picture, and you can also see the magnificent views. On promoting 4 peaks, there are hardware projects. They were started in the first half of 2025 and they will have been completed by the end of this year. They include road signage, public toilet enhancement projects, and so on. We will also implement measures in order to enhance hiking safety. In appropriate locations, we will plant trees and vegetation in order to enhance the appeal of the site. We know visitors want to take pictures of these splendid views in Hong Kong. So there will be recreational facilities and we will construct some viewing platforms. Enhancements will be made. The purpose of launching the 4 Peaks Tourism Project is to develop green tourism. The AFCD works with the Tourism Board and the Tourism Commission in tandem with other operators nearby to plan green tourism itineraries and products. Say we have Ngongping 360. The AFCD will launch publicity efforts on 4 Peaks tourism projects. Mementos will also be prepared on different platforms and websites. We will distribute information and pamphlets. We will do so before the hiking season in the second half of this year commences. On publicity strategies, we need to promote the beauty of the 4 Peaks tourism project, but at the same time, we will also promote hiking etiquette and safety. As I mentioned just now, we will prepare earlier in order to better manage these sites. Regarding the promotions conducted by the Tourism Board, they have a year-round platform to promote the projects in Hong Kong. They have the theme Hills and Sea in the City Within Arm's Reach in Hong Kong Great Outdoors. The AFCD and the Tourism Board have been working together, especially during the Golden Week, for locations Well, I mean, for websites accessed by mainland visitors, we mount publicity efforts on these platforms in order to disseminate information. Following the pandemic, many places, not just in Hong Kong, there's a surge in the number of visitors. There are different management measures implemented in different jurisdictions. Take Japan as an example. They have a guided tours, and volunteers will guide tourists, and they will also help tourists with buying tickets. In Bangkok, there are tourist police officers who are responsible for maintaining law and order. There are management measures on crowd management and pricing model. Some sites used to be free, but right now, different measures have been introduced to better manage the crowd, especially during peak periods. Owing to over-tourism, there are difficulties when it comes to habitats. Such measures are seen in overseas jurisdictions. Regarding these management measures, they come with pros and cons. We must be flexible. We need to take into account the situation in Hong Kong in order to decide whether we will implement these measures or not. Say, when it comes to a cap on the number of visitors, or whether we will charge visitors, we will need to consider whether there are residential units nearby. Otherwise, there will be significant impacts on residents living nearby. If a location is accessible, probably it's quite difficult to implement measures to require visitors to pay in order to enter a certain area. For some other areas, it might be easier with planning, as all the ancillary facilities are well within the area. We want to give members of the public in Hong Kong a backyard that is beautiful, and this is exactly why we set up country parks. We don't mean to charge members of the public. We don't want to control the number of people using country parks either. That is not our planning direction. However, if there is a surge in the number of visitors flocking to these sites, there might be stress on these sites. We want to keep the geographical advantage of these locations, and we want to strike a balance. We want to let visitors access these sites easier. We are now taking a progressive and incremental approach. On the one hand, we want to keep the accessibility of country parks. On the other hand, we want to continue with public education so that when visitors and members of the public come to Hong Kong to appreciate nature, they will also respect nature. Just now I mentioned Po Pin Chau, and in East Dam, we are considering a reservation system. This is a more targeted and precise management model. If need be, we will take law enforcement actions in a rigorous manner in order to nip destructive acts in the bud. We will prevent damage to the environment. Depending on the effectiveness of the measures, we will consider putting in place even stricter measures. But the purpose is to protect our ecological environment. We have culture plus tourism, eco plus tourism, mega events plus tourism. We want to distribute these sites in an even manner in order to better manage crowds. Thank you, Under Secretary and Deputy Secretary, for your introductions. Thank you for taking us through the PowerPoint presentation. On top of the two principal officials who have just now spoke just now spoken, we have other principal officials with us as well. We have Ruby from the Tourism Commission as well as those from the Environment and Ecology Bureau. In the interest of time, the first round, 4 minutes, questions and answers included. Mr. Kitson Yang, thank you. We need to manage tourist hotspots. I support the use of a reservation system. This will give visitors a better experience. Regarding the reservation system, I'd like to express my views. I also have some suggestions. Some people use the practice of Some people get the ticket first and then sell these tickets at a higher price afterwards. If a certain location is very popular, this will lead to an issue, such as using computer systems or bots to scramble for a ticket and then they sell the ticket afterwards. We need to curb the practice of ticket scalping or touting. We need to implement other measures at the same time. For example, we need to use drones to confirm the confirm the location of the attendees. We need to check whether those who have booked a ticket have really gone to the site. We need to verify whether they have gone to the site. In other words, we need to use mobile phone signal alongside drone detection to check whether those who have reserved a ticket have really gone to a particular site. We may also consider using a deposit system. It's difficult to get a ticket to access these highly popular country park or site. If those who have a ticket do not go to these sites, our resources will have gone to waste. We need to prevent this. Thank you. Under Secretary, regarding the reservation system, we want to start with the section from East Dam to Paw Pin Chow viewing platform. We have taken the first step and we will pilot this measure. We're not going to cover the entire area of East Dam. Regarding ticket scalping, we have drawn reference from other departments such as LCSD. Balloting is indeed a good idea as proposed by member. We will also consider using the real name registration system. If we implement this system, we hope that we can reduce malpractices. Regarding management, when ticket holders come to us, we will use technologies such as QR codes. Just now, member mentioned mobile phone signal location tracking. The area isn't an expensive one, but we will employ appropriate technologies to better manage this issue. Just now, I referred to the practice of real name registration system. If someone reserves a spot but does not appear, with the real name registration system in place, we will know who has sort of stood up and we will appropriately handle these cases. I'd like to follow up. Just now the Undersecretary mentioned the real name registration system and we could use computer systems. Well, I mean, during the pandemic, people used computer systems to scramble for a spot to go back to the Chinese mainland, as long as they provided their name, mobile phone numbers, and other personal particulars, then someone else could use a computer system to scramble for a spot for them. At that time, the ballot system was used, but of course, we want to use an honor system, but I'd like to say that even if we have technologies, a real name registration system may not be effective. Undersecretary, indeed the balloting system is a good one and we'll go back to study it. Thank you.
Next, our Deputy Chair, Mr. Chris Yip. Thank you. I'd like to thank the EEB as well as the representatives from the other departments for attending this meeting to brief us on this topic. I'd also like to thank the administration for communicating with us on the destination of the marine park at Sharp Island. Technology develops very rapidly, and sometimes it's hard for us to deal with any issues, however, when there are too many visitors. I believe you have the relevant information about when the peak periods are. I believe that our country parks for most of the time can be opened up to visitors. However, for special dates, I think we need to allow visitors to prepare for the trip. If they have planned for visiting the country park but they could not end up going there, they might complain about their trip online. So I think whether it is a fee charging system or a real name registration system, what is important is that we can ensure that visitors have enough time to prepare for the trip. Just now, we talked about the East Dam, and I think one of the major issues we face is the transport issue. However, we don't have any representatives from the transport department here today, and it's hard for us to follow up on the issue with the administration. Just now, there were also discussions about residents living in the rural areas. Sometimes residents in rural areas realize that there's a new park built near their neighborhood, and that could pose impacts on the local residents, and they had problems going in and out of their neighborhood because of the visitor attractions. Now, going back to country parks are governed by our laws. However, I believe that certain areas of our country parks do not have to be designated as protected areas. If there are residents living nearby, can we work with the local groups there? Take Lychee Walk as an example. It's not entirely a country park. There are paved grounds, but the soil is not entirely damaged. If we can display the natural resources there, then the local residents will be able to enjoy the economic benefits. I hope that we can work together to develop new itineraries or routes in those areas. I hope the government can take a flexible approach. Now, going back to the proposed marine park at Sharp Island. Usually, if the area is damaged and you go back to try to conserve the nature, it usually doesn't work. You may be able to set up legislation to regulate any illegal lighting of fire or littering. However, there are issues that cannot be easily resolved. Therefore, we need more visionary management. As you said, there are kite-tow services that bring visitors to Sharp Island. We have to educate visitors on the boat, what kind of behavior they should not do. I think you have to step up education in this regard. Also, in terms of kite-tow services, I think we need to manage boats going in and out. Otherwise, private boats going to the area for snorkeling activities will cause damages. It will take decades for corals to recover. I hope you can address this question in the second round. Well, we have plenty of time today, so I'll be less strict with the time. Yes, I'll be brief. I agree that we have to manage visitors' expectation. Currently, when visitors go to the viewing platform, where necessary, we will deploy crowd management measures, and so visitors will have to line up. In the future, after we've introduced the reservation system, we can better manage visitors' expectation. Also, we have actually invited the Transport Department to attend this meeting. Today, members may not be able to have a discussion with the Transport Department, but in the future, we can focus on transport-related issues when representatives from the TD are here. We understand that there are residents living nearby, and so we issue passes to visitors to minimize the impact on local residents. In terms of working with local residents, like those in Lychee War, we will based on actual circumstances to see if it's better to communicate with local residents. Now, on the point about the proposed marine park, the member asked how we could, through publicity and education, enhance visitors' awareness on nature conservation. Member mentioned we could step up education on the boat or on Kaito. We could also make use of various channels such as the social media to educate the public to respect the nature. We could also remind visitors not to affect the natural habitat as they visit the countryside. Mr. Robert Lee. Hong Kong is an international financial center, and many business travelers come to Hong Kong. Before and after their work, they may want to go around Hong Kong, and they may even bring their family members here. So I hope they could go out to the mountain and the sea to appreciate the natural resources we have. And this is a way for us to tell good stories of Hong Kong. This is to encourage both leisure visitors as well as business travelers to explore the city. I have a couple of questions. Understand that the east dam of the High Island Reservoir in Sai Kung is very popular among visitors. Apart from the east dam, the entire Pak Tam Chung is very beautiful, and there are many campsites there. It is mentioned in paper that in 2019 there were plans for the government to develop Pak Tam Chung into a green tourism hub. What are the plans now? Does the government still have plan to make use of the resources in Pak Tam Chung to develop tourism? Also, according to the paper, there are many visitors during Golden Week holidays, and in May this year, there were 19 law enforcement actions taken by the AFCD, and they include littering as well as irregular use of camping sites. I want to know if the law enforcement actions taken were deterrent enough. We have so many good ecological resources, but when we go out to the mountain and the sea, we see rubbish everywhere. That would be very bad experience. Undersecretary. In the 2019 policy address, it was proposed that Pak Tam Chung should be developed as a green tourism hub. Back then, the CEDB was in charge of the project. Perhaps I could ask my colleague to elaborate on this. Now, there were 19 law enforcement cases during Golden Week, and that was between the 1st and the 5th of May this year. They mainly involve littering as well as hygiene issues. There were also illegal camping activities. And we also saw vehicles going into the country park. and we dealt with the issue based on the actual circumstances. I'll ask Ruby to supplement. Thank you, Under Secretary. Just now, the member asked about the plan to develop Pak Tam Chung into a green tourism hub. There was a consultancy study on Pak Tam Chung on the traffic impact. Back in 2023 and 24, the AFCD and us completed a traffic impact studies. Now, with the latest situation at the East End, we will employ new measures that are transport related. We will also work with the EEB and the other departments to see how we can improve the situation. Well, the member can raise questions in the second round. Next, Ms. Judy Chen. First, I'd like to thank the chairman for arranging the duty visit for members, and we went to Sai Kung together. It was very beautiful there. I think visitors nowadays want a different experience. In the past, they came to Hong Kong for shopping and they came to see the neon signs. We have such a beautiful coastal line, and we have great mountains, and they could become Hong Kong's tourism landmarks. Not just visitors, but we locals find them very beautiful as well. On nature conservation, I agree that we need crowd management measures, and the ultimate goal is to conserve the nature. How can you strike a balance, however? You want to manage crowds, and at the same time, you want to ensure that there is a certain scale of visitors. Well, visitors come, and we do not want to reject them. That's why we are thinking of introducing a reservation system. Would you be able to work with business organizations and introduce a group in, group out approach? I have been to other countries, and I've visited the national country parks. And for those countries, you have to join the groups that are recognized by the government in order to go into the park. I wonder if the government should rely on its own effort in terms of crowd management and cleaning. I think it is not enough to just rely on the government. We see many collaborations among the business sector, the government, as well as the community, so we can perhaps adopt the same approach. Also, you mentioned you are going to set up a liaison point for visitors. I want to know if it is necessary. How many visitors nowadays go to a visitor center for information? Most of them get the information they need online nowadays, so I hope you won't waste the money to build a visitor center. On the visitor center, I'll ask Ms. Tam to elaborate. As we develop ecotourism, we want to make sure that we have good nature conservation measures in place. We will pay close attention to popular attraction sites, especially the capacity of these sites. And based on the different circumstances, we will roll out different arrangements. Just now, the member asked whether we will work with NGOs and perhaps adopt a group in, group out approach. Take Maipo as an example. The government worked with NGOs such as WWF. We allow visitors to visit Maipo, but at the same time we have very good measures in place to conserve the nature.
感
Just now we were talking about Sharp Island. On the 1st of May, we worked together with the WWF. They mounted publicity efforts on the island. With our experience on the 1st of May, we can see that the effectiveness was actually quite good. Sharp Island is highly popular for parents and children. People in different age brackets welcome our publicity efforts. Near the beach, there are stalls. And in the long run, if we want to better manage Sharp Island, it is ideal for us to have a place like an information hub on the island. So Ms. Judy Chen can rest assured we will not put up an excessively luxurious hub on the island, but we want to achieve the purpose of public education and information dissemination regarding the future management of Sharp Island, such as at the sea. We want to organize guided scuba diving activities. Not all visitors are well versed in the etiquette in this regard. So when we have an information hub, then before the activities we can implement such programs to educate visitors on the etiquette at sea. When we have details, we will announce in due course. We will also hear from members. Thank you. Thank you, DS. Regarding Sharp Island, during the Golden Week of May, we went for a visit. The pier is actually the only place for visitors to land. We need to hammer home the messages directly, and this is an effective way to reach out to visitors from the perspective of conservation and public education. Ms. Christine Fong, thank you. Regarding reviewing tourism resources and policy measures, in addition to Paul Pin-Chow, the administration just now referred to the introduction of a real name registration reservation system. I welcome this move. There should be a deposit required. During the Golden Week in May, there were as many as 5,700 people. East Dam was a suitable place to implement crowd control. I'd like to ask, in addition to Paul Pin-Chow, Seaside One, Ham Tin One, these are highly popular camping sites. Will you consider covering them in the reservation system? Tourist preferences can change very fast. Can the supporting facilities and management of the administration catch up? About 63 hectares flanking Sharp Island, the coral reef area will be designated as a marine reserve. I support it. However, to the south and north of Sharp Island, some green groups believe that there were tourists who damaged the ecological habitat in that area. So will the government consider designated a larger area for country park or marine park in order to better protect Sharp Island? We're going to have another Golden Week in November this year before the middle of 2027 when the statutory laws come into effect. So I'd like to know. Just now the administration mentioned 120 people will be stationed in the area for support. Mandy Road is a one-lane traffic. The minibus trade or the taxi trade want to widen the roads over there, as that road per se is not an ecologically sensitive area. It is not part of a UNESCO geopark. So will improvement works be implemented? Kayaking, snorkeling, we need to prevent any trampling of coral reefs that are fragile. Thank you. Undersecretary, I'd like to respond to the deposit system first. We have noted members' in view. We will go back and study its feasibility. As we said, we have already taken the first step, and we will pilot these measures. From East Dam to the viewing platform for this stretch of the road, it will be used as a starting point or as a pilot point. In the future, we will take stock of our experience to consider whether we will extend this system to cover other areas as well. Regarding designating Sharp Island as a marine reserve, only 63 hectares from the east to the west is covered. What about covering the north and the south as well? There's a wide range of factors that we need to consider, including ecological value, potential threats, possible impacts on other users, as well as the level of acceptance in society. At the end of 2025, the administration used technologies to have a better picture of the ecologically sensitive area. It is found that the east and the west areas of Sharp Island are ecologically rich. There are many coral reefs coverage. Given the immediate stress, we need to protect these areas by way of law. Regarding the east, south, and north, the distribution of coral reefs is sparse. It is not as densely clustered. The coral reefs in the south and the north are not as representative as those in the east and in the west. For the water body of Sharp Island, in that area we have the most important coral reefs. That is why we want to use scientific figures to achieve our purpose of conservation. We want to cover the east and the west. We want to minimize the public opposing views. We conducted consultation sessions. We have heard different views. There are many supporters in favor of this measure. So we want to strike a balance. We want to handle the situation in a pragmatic manner. After the gazettal of the relevant map, members of the public have 60 days of inspection. There will be opportunities for them to submit their views to us before we finalize our proposal. Just now, Ms. Christine Fong asked about the widening of the roads. Undersecretary, that road is under the purview of the WSD, Water Services Department. It has undertaken some minor works to enhance the area over there. However, with regard to widening the road, some roads might need to be closed off for a longer period of time, and this will also entail more resources. We might not be able to widen the road as a result. We also need to cooperate with different departments. Drawing reference from our Golden Week experience, the situation is largely under control, and the Chief Secretary for Administration organizes cross-departmental meetings to handle the situation. So in the coming Golden Week in November, the Chief Secretary for Administration will also hold cross-departmental meetings. While we aren't yet at the stage of legislation, there will be administrative measures. They will be implemented in order to protect the area. I'd like to see if Ms. Tam has anything else to add. DS, please. Thank you. Just now, Ms. Fong asked about What about before Sharp Island is designated as a marine reserve? On the 1st of May, we went for a site visit together with Ms. Fong. All the management measures put in place during the Golden Week would continue before we designate Sharp Island as a marine reserve. Visitors abide by the rules, so whenever we identify any area for improvement, we will do so. Thank you, Ms. Vivian Kong. Thank you. Last week, under the leadership of Mr. Perry Yu, we, together with the tourism sector, as well as other representatives, went for a site visit. We had a better picture of the difficulties they encountered. Ecological damage, unlicensed operation, unguaranteed quality of tourists. Oftentimes we see irregularities or non-compliances, so I'd like to know if the administration will identify some venues to better control the routes in these areas. We need to implement guided tours in these areas instead of just individual travel in these country parks. We understand that country parks in Hong Kong need to be accessible. It is difficult to put in place measures to charge visitors at one single entrance, unlike national parks in other jurisdictions. I'd like to know if reservation system will give some quotas to license and qualify ecology travel tours so that we can ensure the quality of the tours as a way to reduce public stress. Thank you. I'd like to ask you, Ruby, to give you more information regarding the questions you asked. Regarding the registration system you refer to, we will maintain close liaison with the Tourism Commission. We will hear from them before we finalize the details. I'd like to ask Ruby to give you more information about the questions you asked. Thank you. Regarding guided tours, I'd like to respond to member. As for unlicensed guided tour guides, during the Golden Week, patrols will be conducted on islands. There were decoy operations. The operations targeted identifying any unlicensed tour guides. We are also studying the possibility of putting in place a measure to have special licenses for tour guides. We're working with the Travel Industry Authority and together with the Tourism Board and the Tourism Commission, we want to organize ecology tours for visitors. The Tourism Board previously organized some island tours for tourists. In addition, in Sai Kung, we also organize a tour that is around the island tour for members of the public or for tourists to join. These tours went to Shamchong, and by way of organizing tours in this manner, we want to avoid ecological impact on the area. These tours will be organized in a more orderly manner. Thank you.
Ms. Nixie Lam. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to ask about online publicity efforts. Understand that you will create an account on Xiaohongshu. Will you ask internal staff to put up ads on the platform, or will you engage a marketing agency to do so? There are many different tourist attraction sites. Some are more popular and others are less popular. If we can make use of online algorithm to help divert crowds, that would be very helpful. In my view, many outlying islands should be visited by visitors. However, 7 out of 10 of them may not be known to the public. I hope there will be more professional publicity to be launched on Xiaohongshu. So I want to know if you will ask internal staff to do so, or will you engage a professional agency to help with the marketing? Now I'd like to follow up on the question about information dissemination on Sharp Island. From what you said, I wonder, why should we spend taxpayers' money on private operation? In this regard, could you tell us how much manpower and how much money do you think you will need? On the question about Xiaohongshu, I will ask Assistant Director to reply, and on marketing, I'll see if Ruby has anything to supplement. Just now, Ms. Judy Chen asked about the information hub, and the administration said the information hub will offer support to visitors. So from what I heard, my immediate thought was, why would you not consider outsourcing the project to the private market? I will ask Mr. Lai to reply to the questions. I thank the member for the questions. Now on our publicity strategies, we make use of the AFCD's website to disseminate information. We also work with the tourism board. There is an information portal run by the tourism board that promotes green tourism sites, and the platform is called Hong Kong Great Outdoors. So there's a channel under the tourism board to spread information. Just now the member asked how we can target mainland tourists and disseminate information to them, and therefore we're trying to create an account on Xiaohongshu. Once we have the official account set up, we will disseminate information on the platform. We will include information such as our attraction sites on the platform, and we will ask tourists to abide by certain hiking etiquette. The core of my question is about whether you will engage professionals to deal with the marketing. Yes, I'm getting to there. Once the Xiaohongshu account is set up, we may ask online celebrities to help promote the messages. We believe that on one hand, we will have professionals deal with the marketing. On the other hand, our internal staff will keep in view the information on the account. Sorry, Chairman, I have to stress that my question is whether you will have your internal staff put up ads or you will engage a marketing agency. Just now, the administration said it will engage online celebrities to help with the marketing. But that's not my question. Well, this is going to be an official account, so the department will definitely take the lead to manage the account. As to whether we will outsource the entire project to an external party or will internal staff take the lead. Well, we are still making the preparation right now. Once we have the details set out, we will go with the plan. We adopt an open mind attitude in general. Now, to answer your questions about Sharp Island, during the Golden Week holiday in May this year, we deployed staff to the attraction sites. We also worked with green groups to disseminate information to visitors, to educate them how they should appreciate the environment and how they could help conserve the nature. And we have yielded great results through the on-site promotion. We're not planning to build a large exhibition hub. We are visualizing a small booth or a small visitor center. At different locations, we have set up a visitor center. We sometimes engage an external party, or we sometimes ask internal staff to run these visitor center. As you may recall, there is a volcano center in Sai Kung, and we ask professionals to help manage the visitor center. This is because these professionals are more familiar with the area. As for the information hub in Sharp Island, we will see which approach we should take. Mr. Kenneth Lau, I believe all members are trying to think of ways to revigorate the new territories. We also want to make use of our resources to promote ecotourism. But my impression is that it's been a very difficult task. Since the 1990s, the Town Planning Board has introduced measures to manage the new territories, and since then we have seen many restrictions. We all try to abide by the laws, so it's been quite difficult for us to leverage our resources. The new territories are still regarded as the rural areas. In the mainland, they regard these areas as villages. And from the mainland experience, we see that we can invigorate villages, and we can introduce a management model to manage these villages. Well, last week we took the boat, and each of us paid $30 for the trip. We visited the outlying islands around Sai Kung, and I didn't see a single person. Recently, there is a very popular movie, and it's about the survival of a tribe. Perhaps we should think out of the box. It shouldn't just concern these several bureaus. It may have to do with the Development Bureau because it is about development. I hope that we can make sure that we can conserve the nature and at the same time have economic activities there. Like Ms. Nixie Lam said, to take forward these projects, it costs money. Starting from 2020, the relevant expenditure has increased by over 10%. Well, if we only receive 1,000 to 2,000 visitors in Popin Chau, the economic benefit wouldn't be significant. I'm not saying that we should not conserve the nature, but I think we should promote red, green, and blue tourism. In the new territories, not just blue and green tourism is important, we also have to promote red tourism. Apart from focusing on water land-based activities, I think we should also develop the low-altitude economy. I think we should make use of technology to enable visitors to visit the rural areas. In this regard, our country has been doing a great job. I think we should promote Mears Bay, South Lantau, Sai Kung, and Sha Tau Kok. Also, there are many attraction sites that we can promote during festive seasons. And we should also better manage our countryside. The AFCD is currently managing 25 country parks and 22 special areas. And so we should not simply rely on the AFCD. We can perhaps outsource the management to the private sector. Mr. Kenneth Lau has already used up his time, so Under Secretary, please be brief. I think Mr. Kenneth Lau raised up some very good ideas. We attach importance to the cultures of villages. We have the countryside office. We have 92 villages and we have yielded results under the leadership of the office. Also, we have the South Lantau project managed by the Development Bureau. And recently, we've been trying to promote urban-rural integration in the northern metropolis. The Development Bureau has already disclosed the relevant details. And our target is to integrate the rural and urban areas. The member just now mentioned the low-altitude economy. How can we leverage technology? Well, drone technologies have been developing rapidly. Under Secretary, perhaps we could discuss this at the next meeting. Let's see if Ruby has anything to add on red tourism. Yes, please be brief. On red tourism, we've been trying to promote the relevant attraction sites. To give you an example, we worked with the AFCD to roll out a hiking trail enhancement project. And as we take forward the project, we noticed that there are historic relics. For example, the Lion Rocks Trail, as well as the Shing Moon Trail and Lok Kang Trail, there were historic relics there. And therefore we erected interpretation panels to introduce the history of these trails so that visitors could take the opportunity to learn about the history of these relics. If we find that there are any suitable sites for us to promote red tourism, we will continue to do so. Ms. Julia Lau. We see many visitors at various attraction sites, and I think we should take the opportunity to promote our brands and IP. I understand that on the mainland, there are special designs featured in public toilets in the parks. So I think we should take the opportunity to roll out special designs to build our brands. There are public toilets in almost all attraction sites, and there are also water fountains or vending machines. So I think we can introduce special designs in these facilities in order to bring about economic benefits. Little efforts like these can help draw visitors and promote IPs.
Under Secretary, regarding venue management, in a moment I'd like to ask Ruby to reply. We have been committing to enhancing our country parks or attractions. We're committing to upgrading the facilities in these attractions, be they water fountains, toilets, or other ancillary facilities. Member just now asked whether we will enhance the special features of these facilities. We will go back and study whether we can do so. I'd like to ask my colleague to add regarding brand effects. Thank you, member, for your question. Regarding brand effects, we encourage the industry to enhance their promotion of the brands. With regard to designs, we will promote their brands if we consider that their brands or designs are suitable. Thank you. We're now on agenda item number 2. That is review of tourism resources and the policy measures, strategies, and projects for the development of ecotourism. We are discussing this issue from the perspective of policy measures, and in the next agenda item, we're going to discuss the enhancement of ancillary facilities and related measures for country parks and popular attractions. Members are raising questions on the next agenda item. That said, I'd like members to focus on review of tourism resources and the policy measures in this connection. Thank you. Next, Mr. Jonathan Leung. Thank you, Chairman. I have 2 questions. For more remote areas, such as in the southern district, we have Tai Long Wan, Shek O. There are very popular attractions. However, there's a lack of ancillary facilities. There are squatter huts, there are village houses. It is difficult to get a refreshment license. It is very difficult to get such licenses for stalls over there. That is food business license. When visitors come to these attractions and they want to take a seat and have some food, it'd be difficult. So I'd like to know if relaxation could be allowed in order that such food business licenses could be obtained more easily. Next, with regard to promotion, we refer to Little Red Book, that is Xiaohongshu, a tool in the Chinese mainland. However, I'd like to say that if the promotion is too official, of course, for official channels, of course, we can disseminate correct information. However, it is not as appealing if we only conduct promotion through official channels. When you take pictures of the magnificent nature, and when you publish these pictures on social media accounts or social media outlet, this will be more attractive and appealing. Thank you. Under Secretary, members are concerned about facilities. Recently, Countryside Conservation Office CCO published some guidelines for guest houses as well as the F&B industry. The guidelines aim to help people who are interested in applying for a license to make an application. Just now you mentioned Big Wave Bay. I'd like to see if Ruby has anything to add. As for using commercial or official channels, I'd like to see my colleague has anything to add. Ms. Lai, thank you. I thank Mr. Leung for your opinion. With regard to promotional strategies, we will monitor the market trends. We would definitely engage professionals in order to have a better understanding of market trends. We might not be well up in market trends. That is why we will engage contractors and professionals to help us in this regard. We will be flexible. Thank you. Mr. Leung, I'd like to refer to the 92 villages as mentioned just now. However, for Shek O, Big Wave Bay, they are in remote areas. They are in villages. They are in village areas as well, but they might not be covered under the 92 places. Their nature is exactly the same, but they aren't covered. I'd like to know if the administration will consider expanding the coverage to cover them as well. Thank you. The two places you mentioned are under the purview of the LCSD. Well, not just a beach, it is a village. That is the village in Big Wave Bay. After the subcommittee meeting, we will invite relevant government departments to have a meeting together regarding guesthouse lodging policies. Mainly, this purview is under the HYAB, especially when it comes to work on villages. It is under the remit of the HAD. So they will have detailed discussions in this regard. Thank you. Next, Mr. Andrew Fan. Thank you, Chairman. I'm going to focus on policies. I do agree with the administration. They will promote ecology plus tourism. I agree. Thank you. It is set out very clearly in the document that it will develop ecology plus tourism against the backdrop of respecting nature. At East Dam, there were a lot of people when we visited East Dam. However, during holidays, usually visitors pack these attractions. There are scores of visitors, and when a lot of people visit the site, the ecological environment is under stress. It seems we cannot get the best of both worlds. We need to strike a better balance. That is protecting the environment and developing tourism. How can we strike a balance? Thank you. Undersecretary, on the premises of respecting the nature and protecting the environment, we showed the best of our nature to visitors. We need to prevent too many visitors from visiting the attraction in order to prevent any ecological impact. That is, we need to strike a balance between taking forward tourism and protecting the environment. As you can see, we do our best to diverse the crowds of visitors. So in addition to popular attractions, that is the Four Peaks tourism projects, we do a lot of work in order to divert crowds of visitors to different attractions. We aim to prevent over-tourism in order to reduce the stress on highly popular attractions. When it comes to festivals with a lot of visitors and Golden Week, the Chief Secretary for Administration leads the interdepartmental working group to handle these situations. In other words, we hope to employ different methods to reduce the stress that we are currently facing. Thank you. Mr. Andrew Fan. Just now the administration said that you would open up some new attractions when they promote these attractions on Little Red Book. These attractions will become very popular, but then this will cause an impact on the ecological environment. I understand there is a task group studying this. I'd like to ask the administration, will you have clearer guidelines or rules? Will you publish these clearer guidelines so that we will rest assured there will be a proper balance between taking forward tourism and protecting the environment? regarding diverting tourists. Just now I cited the four peaks as an example. We have assessed the capacity, and there is indeed room for capacity. These are shorter routes, and there is public transport accessing these attractions. Therefore, this will be instrumental in diverting crowds. Just now, member asked about guidelines. I'd like to ask Mr. Patrick Lai to give you more information with regard to guidelines. Mr. Patrick Lai? Thank you. Thank you, Undersecretary. Thank you, member, for your question. When it comes to the development of green tourism, the administration definitely respects nature and protects the environment. We show the special and precious ecological resources of Hong Kong to visitors. We will prevent an excessive number of tourists, thereby reducing the possible impacts on the ecological environment. As for ecologically sensitive areas, we might need to put in place different control. Say for Maipo, registration beforehand is required. There will also be a cap on the numbers. Regarding Paul Pin Chau at East Dam, we want to pilot the introduction of a reservation system for peak periods when there's a registration system in place or a reservation system in place. When there is no quota, then visitors are welcome to access other attractions. They can probably go to East Dam even if there's no more quota for Paul Pin Chau. We want to divert crowds in order to reduce the stress on the ecological environment. We also want to provide tourists with better travel experiences. Thank you. Mr. Chrisip, after you speak, I will ask some questions and then we will land the first round. Mr. Chrisip, thank you. Of course, I support striking a delicate balance between ecotourism and development. In South America, as for Inca Trail, there's a reservation system. However, this will lead to pure competition among different computer programs. Then this cannot protect visitors or members of the public who do want to visit these attractions. Will some of the quota be reserved for local residents or for travel agencies or even for people coming to Hong Kong on the individual travel scheme? We need to meet the demands of different visitors. Some of them might be locals in Hong Kong. So I'd like to know if we can implement such measures instead of just a registration system without any management. Is it possible to draw a boundary within an area? Do you have sufficient manpower to make sure that the registration or reservation system is effective? If you don't have sufficient manpower, will you increase manpower? Thank you. Just now on the discussion of reservation system, we already discussed appropriate measures to prevent ticket scalping or touting. We have drawn reference from the experience of other departments such as the LCSD or other departments. That is the FEHD. When you book burial facilities, some slots will be snatched up just when the applications or reservation is open. It is conducted on a first-come, first-served basis. Regarding quotas for travel tours, we will work with the Tourism Commission. We will hear from them before we finalize our measures. Do we have sufficient manpower when we practice the reservation system? We will have sufficient manpower in order to ensure that the reservation system will be implemented in a successful and effective manner. During Golden Week holidays, we engaged additional manpower to cope with our workload. In other words, at peak periods, we will have sufficient manpower. Thank you.
Chairman, we talked about rolling out a reservation system at camping sites as well. We're talking about huge country parks. You have to therefore make sure that you have sufficient manpower. If you face a manpower shortage, you have to consider, for example, hiring part-time staff to conduct patrols. Right, we will look at the needs. We will first pilot the arrangement at this section from the East End to Po Pin Chau viewing deck. We will accumulate experience and see whether we should make other arrangement. Mr. Dennis Leung, we have many unique natural resources in Hong Kong, and we have to think about how to protect these resources. The mainland has been promoting its lush waters and lucid mountains. However, there's been over-tourism in certain attraction sites, and we see accumulation of garbage and damage of certain areas that cause an impact to the natural ecology. According to the paper, the government is going to employ certain strategies, such as a fee charging system. I've looked up some information online. I know that some countries have rolled out a similar fee charging system. They may even engage an external party to help with the management, and some of the fees will go back to the public coffers. We're not facing an ideal fiscal position in Hong Kong government, and if you adopt the balloting system, it may increase the workload of civil servants. So when you review your policies, would you consider adopting the user pays principle? We want to make sure that we can manage these attraction sites and at the same time visitors can enjoy the scenery. I know that some visitors have been collecting stones at attraction sites, so we have to step up education for both the locals and overseas visitors. I hope that the government will roll out relevant policies as soon as possible. Undersecretary, on the point about the fee charging system to manage demands and needs, we adopt an open mind attitude. We will first accumulate experience as we roll out the reservation system at Po Pin Chau. After that, we will explore whether it's feasible to implement a fee charging system. Second, on publicity and education, we've done a lot of work in this regard. Through various channels, we remind visitors to keep the environment clean and not to damage public facilities. Let's see if Ms. Tam has anything to add. In the past, we never implemented a fee charging system, so the public is used to enjoying the natural scenery without paying any money. If we are to roll out any new systems, we hope that there will be any significant changes in the short run so that the public will not be able to adapt to it. Therefore, we are piloting the reservation system at Po Pin Chau, and after we've rolled out the system, we will conduct a review. We don't rule out the possibility that if we think that we need to further strengthen management, we may implement a fee charging system or other arrangements. There are many places that implement fee charging systems. However, we have to take into consideration the local circumstances. For example, we have to consider how much money we should charge and whether the fees collected should go to the public coffers. We will take into consideration all these factors as we explore whether it is necessary to implement a fee charging system. However, we will first start with the proposed reservation system. As we prepare for the reservation system, we will continue to study other possibilities. Members, we set up this subcommittee to study matters relating to ecology plus tourism under the House Committee. The purpose is that we hope to work with the administration to see how we can better promote ecotourism. We hope to come up with a sustainable model that can balance nature conservation as well as development of ecotourism industries. I think what the Deputy Secretary said just now may give a better idea to members. Members in general are concerned about crowd management issues, especially at the East End, Sharp Island, and members are also concerned about the Four Peaks project. I proposed this discussion item because I want to review the relevant policy measures and strategies with the administration. However, I see that this paper from the administration focuses on the Four Peaks project mostly. I have actually many questions about government's policies and measures. For example, how can we define an attraction site and what support measures should be rolled out for our attraction site, and with the support measures, how can we further promote these attraction sites? Currently, that's been cross-departmental efforts, but mostly for crowd management only during festive seasons. We like an overall ecotourism policy that involves different government departments. Well, many departments are not attending this meeting, and I think it's not reasonable just to have the AFCD as well as the EEB here. I hope that in the future there could be representatives from more government departments to attend our meetings so that we can have a discussion together. As mentioned, there are abundant natural resources in Hong Kong. Even without going on to the duty visits, you should know that we have rich resources in Hong Kong. However, we haven't really reviewed the potential of various sites in Hong Kong. This paper focuses mainly on the East End, Sharp Island, as well as the Four Peaks project, but we have a lot more natural resources than these. There are many places that was worth our exploration. So, which department should make the decision to decide which resources or which areas should be incorporated as a popular attraction site? And the Secretary, during the first visit with members, we looked at some places with very rich ecotourism resources. As we define which place should be regarded as a popular attraction site, we take into consideration the number of visitors we received, the ecological sensitivity, as well as the potential impact on local residents. for the East Dam in Sai Kung as well as Sharp Island, we see that there has been great demand. That's why they are regarded as popular attraction sites. At the working group, we also explore and identify sites that should be promoted as ecotourism attraction sites. I think we should all work together to see which areas or places should be developed as ecotourism sites. Thank you, Undersecretary. We have a natural scenery. We can appreciate the scenery at the doorstep of the city. However, you only have the R2G guided tour at Geopark as a formal tourism product. How can you bring in the relevant industries to develop more itineraries? We've been talking about how Sai Kung has been packed with visitors. However, during weekdays, there are actually not many people. It's just that during weekends or holidays, there are many visitors, and so we have to better manage crowds, and that's why you've proposed the reservation system. I think people need time to get used to the new system. In the past, we did not restrict visitors. We only restrict vehicles from going into certain areas, and in certain ecologically sensitive areas, we ask visitors to apply for permits. So I want to know how we can make sure that there is room for the tourism industry to develop more tourism products. We can perhaps explore this further in the next agenda item. Well, let me supplement. The EEB manages our country parks, and just now, Chairman mentioned non-country park areas. Perhaps I could respond to how we can promote our tourism products in non-country park areas. In the future, we will invite other departments to attend meetings of this subcommittee to see how we can develop more tourism products. Let's see if Ruby has anything to add. The CSTB has been acting as a facilitator to promote ecotourism. We will cooperate with the EEB as well as the AFCD to promote the relevant attraction sites. For example, we've been working with the AFCD on the Four Peaks project. We've been having many discussions together to see how we can promote the Four Peaks. On the transport issues as well as issues related to crowds at the East Dam, we've also been maintaining close communication with each other. We try to disseminate real-life information to visitors so that they could adopt staggering arrangement as they visit the attraction site. As mentioned, we have been helping to promote tourism products as well. For attraction sites that the AFCD wishes to promote, we try to work with the AFCD and the relevant industry to encourage the industry to develop relevant products. The R2G guided tour is a result of our discussion with the AFCD. So we hope to carry on with our work in this regard.
Alright, next agenda item. Enhancement of its ancillary facilities and related measures for country parks and popular attractions. I'd like to ask the administration to take us through the papers. Thank you. Together with the CSTB and DFS and the AFCD, we're going to take members through the enhancement of ancillary facilities and related measures for country parks and popular attractions. Country parks are very popular among members of the public. 12 million people are attracted annually. In order to enhance the experience of visitors and locals, we have been committed to enhancing ancillary facilities at country parks. Our measures include the enhancement of hiking trails Phase 2, Limahang revitalization projects, Lions Nature Education Center, Shingmun Redoubt, Open Museum for Historical Relics. These are some of the examples. In different phases, we are improving the toilet facilities. We are constructing 5 and rebuilding 6 flushing toilets. And we are installing automatic counters. And we are also installing different smart hill fire detectors for hill fire surveillance. We will also use drones to disseminate information about hiking safety and assistance with patrols. In Hamtin 1, we have been using systems to aid surveillance. The AFCD is also helping by producing different souvenirs and using a website to enhance promotion. I'd like to give the floor to the AFCD to take members through the major measures in place targeting the enhancement of ancillary facilities. Thank you. Thank you, Under Secretary. Good morning, members. Good morning, Chairman. I'd like to speak on this issue. 4 main fronts. 1. Enhancement measures. 2. Making good use of visitor centers and camping sites. 3. Innovative technologies. And 4. Other popular attractions, and so on. First of all, I'd like to speak on enhancing country park facilities. There are some projects going on. At East Dam, Paw Pinchao Viewing Platform, and Limahang Lead Mine in Robin's Nest Country Park, these works were completed and opened to the public at the end of 2024. Targeting the Limahang Lead Mine, this is an open museum. It exhibits historical relics and allows members of the public to know what happened in the past in this area. Before the Golden Week in May, we had finished some enhancement measures. For the barriers of the viewing platform, we have put in place enhancement work in order to better protect visitors. We have also constructed 5 and rebuilt 6 flushing toilets. We realize toilets are very important facilities and infrastructure, so we have been putting in place different enhancement projects. The aim is to enhance the quality of public toilets, and we are using smart public toilet systems, including people counting sensors, septic tank liquid level sensors, and cubicle and urinal occupancy sensors. They can enhance our efficiency of management. There is also sensor when it comes to air quality, and ventilation fans will be activated in order to clear the stench in the public toilets. We expect the new and rebuilt toilets will be commissioned from 2026 to 2028. On the screen, there's a photo montage of the enhanced public toilets. You can see the modern design after enhancement. This is the South Lantau Country Park public toilet. It was open to the public in February 2026. There are more cubicles, and we have had positive feedback. We are also taking forward larger scale enhancement projects, including the camping facilities in Taitung, treetop adventure in Paktamchung, and open museum for historical relics at Shengmun Redoubt. There will be enhanced camping sites and better facilities in the future. We expect that the works will be completed in 2028, one after the another. Just now, Ruby talked about the enhancement of hiking trails Phase 2. Starting from 2018, the enhancement of hiking trails started. We aim to finish all 20 hiking trails. The aim is to control soil erosion, improving vegetation, construction of viewing points. We already finished this in the first quarter of 2026. Dragon's Back, Sunset Peak, these are well-known attractions, and we have already finished the improvement works in these attractions. We provide different ancillary facilities to enhance visitors' experience. In Shengmun Country Park, we put in place explanation boards, and in Lions Nature Education Center, we provide outdoor facilities for children. We want them to appreciate nature. There is still some work in the pipeline, and we expect that it will be completed by the end of this year. Regarding making good use of tourist center and sites, there are a total of 8 visitor centers and nature education center for members of the public. They are free for members of the public. There are different themes for hikers to have a better understanding of the topography of Hong Kong, as well as its biodiversity, history, and relics. In Shengmun Country Park, for instance, there are precious pictures for members of the public. We provide poles, maps, chargers for mobile phones for hikers. We want to enhance hiking safety for hikers. Under the initiative of Four Peaks Tourism Projects, we have been in liaison with travel agencies to discuss tours. We want to promote another type of tours. In Pokfulam, for instance, we're in discussion with these operators some projects. I believe you would like to know more about using innovative technology in countryside management. During the Golden Week in May, East Dam, Popin Chow Viewing Platform, and Highland Reservoir, we used drones to practice surveillance. We also analyze figures, and we announce aerial announcements to remind visitors of the importance of safety and etiquette. Order is very important, and we will continue to use this method given the good effectiveness. We also take pictures using drones and so on. Starting from 2022, in 12 country parks and 2 special areas, we installed automatic people counting sensors. 3 infrared technologies, we count the number of visitors, and we are going to extend it to other areas as well. This will provide us with more accurate figures and statistics. This will allow us to monitor the flow of visitors, and this will also give us better opportunities to project visitor flow in different areas. Hillfire is a threat to country parks. 2 years ago, in all 11 fire lookouts, we have installed infrared thermal imaging, video analytics, and AI. We have installed smart hill fire detectors, and the accuracy rate is 100%. Regarding these fire lookouts, this can reduce the on-duty time of staff members. This will allow us to better use manpower as a result. As for the Enjoy Hiking website, we announce people flow information online. This will allow visitors to better plan their trips. During the Golden Week in May, we announced information on people flow. With these measures implemented, visitors had a better idea of how crowded a particular site is. This will help them better plan their trips. Marine parks are highly popular attractions, and we have been organizing a wide range of events. There are a total of 140 events, allowing visitors to appreciate nature up close. We work with the LCSD to organize kayaking activities, and you can refer to the pictures on the screen. We also encourage the community to take part in marine conservation. We have also started the Citizen Science program. We are promoting kayaking etiquette, snorkeling etiquette, and etiquette for sustainable recreational water activities. We want members of the public to be mindful of such etiquette when they visit these areas. In Yanqiaotong, we have started the Citizen Science program, and we have designed a self-guided eco-tour route at Tongpingqiao Marine Park. I'd like to speak on the traffic arrangements for highly popular attractions. There's a regular mechanism across different departments. At peak periods, there is a management measure in place. In addition to East Dam, in Tai Tong Sweet Gum Woods, we have liaison with the relevant departments, and they have been providing bus services to carry members of the public to Tai Tong Sweet Gum Woods. That concludes my introduction. Thank you. Thank you. Now, members can ask questions. First round, 4 minutes in questions and answers included. Stephen Ho, Deputy Chair. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Once again, I'd like to thank the Environment and Ecology Bureau to come to us. While I was preparing for this meeting with the Chairman, we discussed work arrangements. At the first meeting, I suggest that more departments should join us. When it comes to traffic arrangements, traffic department, and food business licenses, the relevant bureau should also attend this meeting. Regarding Fish and Joy Scheme, Agri and Joy Scheme, you need to take another perspective. Regarding the Northern Metropolis and rural tourism, I expect that the FEHD will join us. However, when it comes to ecology plus tourism, we need to cover the basic ancillary facilities. So probably the Undersecretary will have to discuss it with the Secretary for Department. More departments should join our meeting. For example, when we ask you questions on food business licenses, then Undersecretary will have to draw from your previous experience. I'd like the administration to review this arrangement. I'd like to speak on paragraph 2 of your information papers. What is the definition of ancillary facilities? Just now we talked about public toilets, but what about management? You also touched upon innovative technology to manage country parks. Of course, this is easier for you. However, how can you allow more people to use technologies to enter a country park? This is also a kind of ancillary facility. I'm not sure if you can tell us more about this. There are different musculoskeletal tools to help people who have physical difficulties to access different country parks. I don't think there is much room for enhancements. when it comes to a reservation system for campsites. For balloting, crowd diversion, well, I'd like to say that we might not have to charge every single visitor of Country Park. However, when there are choices, we need to enhance the experience of visitors. We need to break away from our existing Country Park management method in order to make a change. However, there are many breakthroughs covered in the documents provided by the administration, so I hope that you will go back and study this issue further. Can you tell us, is there sufficient support from other bureaus and departments? Is the management given to you? We discussed transport arrangements. There is no TD representative here.
3方面
Undersecretary. There will be future meetings under this subcommittee, and you may invite the relevant departments to attend the meetings. As for the views that you've raised, I will reflect them to the relevant bureaus and departments. We hope that we will be able to deal with all the issues of members' concerns in the future meetings. Now, on technology, we talked about how we can make use of technology to record visitor flow. We also deploy drone technology. We will pay attention to the technological development. If there are appropriate tools, we will make use of them. Well, please pause. I'm not saying that you have not been making use of innovative technology, but according to paragraph 9 of the paper, you are using innovative technology in countryside management instead of using technology to enhance visitors' experience. Yes, we had a discussion on this at the working group. Technology adoption is a wide topic. There will be a discussion item on this, and the Tourism Commission in the future meetings will explore with members in depth how we can enhance visitors' experience by adopting technology. We are including this part in our paper because we want to brief members on how we have been making use of technology in countryside management. Now I'd like to talk about my third point. Based on needs and demands, we employ crowd management measures. If there is enough room or capacity, we will not deploy extra staff to manage crowds. Chairman, did we invite the Transport Department to this meeting? Yes, we did. We invited them, but they did not attend this meeting. If you invited them well in advance, they would attend the meeting. Mr. Jonathan Leung. It's hard for us to have a discussion on this because the relevant department is not here. Well, let me be brief. The lack of transport measures affect tourists' experience. On Xiaohongshu, many tourists complained about overcharging by taxi drivers, as well as illegal hiring. According to paragraph 15, the government will, during peak periods, step up management. However, how can we increase public transport frequency? Can minibuses, as well as buses, be deployed? I hope the relevant department will address my questions. Now I'd like to turn to catering facilities. For squatters as well as village houses, it's hard for them to get food business licenses, so I hope the administration could pay attention to this. Also, in certain attraction sites, we could introduce catering facilities so that hikers in the middle of their hiking activity could have a place to sit down and have a meal. As far as I understand, under the existing arrangement, it's hard for us to introduce this kind of catering facilities. Will the tourism sector as well as the catering sector be able to work together so that we can yield better outcomes under Secretary. The Transport Department will attend the future meetings and we can have a more in-depth discussion on this later. On law enforcement against illegal ride-hailing or illegal hiring of vehicles as well as overcharging of fares, we have stepped up law enforcement efforts. The police have arrested offenders, and we have also disseminated information to the public so that people will not violate the relevant legislations. On the point about food business licenses, the Countryside Conservation Office has dealt with 92 villages, and we will adopt similar model to streamline the procedures so that it will be easier for operators to get licenses. As for individual cases, we will share the examples with the relevant departments and bureaus to see how we can follow up on those cases. Next, Ms. Vivian Kong. Thank you, Chairman. The AFCD has been taking forward the 4 Peaks projects, and it has been working with the Tourism Board to implement the project. The administration, in terms of working with the relevant sectors to take forward the 4 Peaks projects, how could it ensure that visitors will have a good experience and that it would be able to meet its expectation after it's launched the publicity campaign? Also, will it come up with standards to make sure that we can have high quality tourism products? For example, will you ask tour guides to complete certain training before they can lead the tours? We need a green tourism accreditation scheme, for example. Otherwise, there will be tours of varying qualities, and that would affect the 4 Peaks brand, and that would go against our purpose of conserving the nature and strengthening public education. I'll ask the AFCD to talk about the 4 Peaks projects. Director, I thank the member for the questions. On the 4 Peaks project, the AFCD has been taking forward a lot of work to target individual visitors. For example, we try to take forward paving works to make our hiking trails easier for visitors to walk on. We also try to disseminate more information so that visitors can have more information to prepare for their trips. As to how we can enhance the quality of services rolled out by the tourism industry, how can we enhance the level of recognition of guided tours provided by the industry? We will have to talk to the Tourism Commission about this. We have to first develop the relevant tourism products. Then we can explore how we should roll out guidelines and support measures to ensure the quality of such services. I think that would be taken forward in the next step. At this stage, we are focusing on individual visitors. Well, I have a follow-up question. The 4 Peaks project is one of the 9 tourist hotspots being developed by the working group. However, it looks like the AFCD is just targeting individual hikers or visitors. For example, by enhancing the experience, the government has also been introducing visitor centers. However, how should we develop the Four Peaks products and brand? How can we work with the tourism sector on this? We know that most of the visitors in Hong Kong are individual visitors. There are very few group visitors. How can we group these individual visitors? And how can we enrich their experience? On visitor groups, I'll ask Ruby to supplement. Now, on the Four Peaks Tourism Project, we have been taking forward the project on a continuous basis. For example, we have been working with Onping 360 to promote the brand, and we also have been working with the campsite operator in Taimo Shan to see how we could cooperate with them to promote ecotourism. The member raised a very good idea. We will continue to talk to the tourism industry to see how we can better promote our attraction sites. On visitor groups, I'll ask Ruby to supplement. Thank you. Let me supplement. We will roll out the pioneer approach. We will roll out a licensing scheme for tourism practitioners. We hope that through this licensing regime, more practitioners will get the qualification, and that we can enhance the quality of guided tours. We have been working with the AFCD in this regard, and we hope that we can implement this scheme as early as possible. Just now, the chairman said he didn't really see a lot of promotion on this. Well, usually hiking season starts in the fall. In autumn this year, as the construction works are completed, you will be able to see the outcome. Next, Mr. Kenneth Fogg. Thank you, Chairman. We are talking about the support measures, and I'd like to focus on safety. According to the National 15th Five-Year Plan, we have to open up outdoor hiking trails in a safe and orderly manner. Just now, the administration talked about infrared technology. However, according to news reports, there are often hikers who fell off the mountain. Is it possible for us to make better use of technology to prevent such accidents from happening? Now, on publicity and education, when I go hiking, I see that a lot of hikers wear unsuitable clothing. Of course, you cannot regulate what people wear when they go hiking. However, could you disseminate more information and give the public more instructions or directions? A lot of visitors come from the mainland. And on the mainland, a lot of the hiking trails are built. In Hong Kong, the trails are less paved, so mainland visitors may not be aware of how challenging it is to hike in Hong Kong. Also, we talked about group visitors as well as individual visitors. In the future, will you attract more accredited or qualified hikers and relevant experts to lead groups to go hiking? I hope there could be more collaboration with the industry in this regard. Also, on licenses, the government has been promoting mega event economy. I want to know if we should encourage more competitions to be held on hiking trails according to sections 9 and 11 of the legislation, it is prohibited to hold racist competitions or charitable events. And for large-scale events, operators or organizers have to get licenses. For small-scale competitions, if we want to hold a race in a certain section, the organizer may have to apply for a license or permit from the Highways Department, the LCSD, as well as other departments. To promote mega event economy, should we encourage more races and competitions to be held in our hiking trails? Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to respond to your questions. Regarding permits applied with the AFCD, we're going to respond it afterwards. We emphasize safety. It is paramount. Take the viewing platform at Popinchao as an example. We have asked the ASD or our contractors to construct barriers or fences. The AFCD has put up notices to remind visitors of their own safety. We are also using drones to make announcements. We promote safety messages to visitors. For instance, when there are malpractices, we make announcements to remind visitors. Regarding the reservation system, when the number of visitors is under control, the safety coefficient will also be greater. We are in close collaboration and liaison with our mainland counterparts. We use different channels to promote hiking etiquette. On the website and apps of the AFCD, there is information on the level of difficulty of different hiking trails, and we remind them of hiking safely. We will enhance liaison with the Chinese mainland, so the visitors from the Chinese mainland will also pay attention to safety while hiking. Thank you. Regarding the question asked by Mr. Falk, I'd like to add something. Country parks are aimed at preserving nature, but also providing recreational activities for the public. We support different scales of events. The provisions prohibit certain activities. However, we have a permit system in place. Applications for permits are welcomed. We need to strike a balance. When we organize large-scale competition events, it is unavoidable that there will be conflicts between competitors or participants and hikers. That is why coordination needs to be in place. We will have to plan well the routes, so alongside organizing the events, we need to reduce the possible impacts on other members of the public who hike. We also need to reduce wear and tear of hiking trails. Following large-scale competition events, we found that there is actually wear and tear for hiking trails. We'd like to liaise more with organizers. It is hoped that they could participate in volunteer activities after competition events so that we can restore the hiking trails and pave the way for sustainable development in the future. Thank you, Mr. Vincent Chang. I'd like to ask about ancillary facilities in paragraphs 7 and 8. That is the visitor centers in country parks. When we promote Four Peaks, I visited the visitor centers in Ngongping and Taikong as well. There's a lot of information in these visitor centers. There are many ancillary measures and facilities. However, these visitor centers are quite outdated. The information is displayed in quite an outdated manner. There were many people who used the visitor centers, and the resources have been put to waste. We want more members of the public to have a better understanding of Phase 1 of MacLehose Trail. There were plans to enhance the visitor center of MacLehose Trail. Is this still going on? Are you still going to conduct it? In overseas countries, they have pit stops. There are rest stations providing food, drinks, and so on. This might be a more desirable approach, and you might want to draw reference from it. As for the camping sites of country parks, you said that you are willing to work with them. Actually, I know some operators in Hong Kong, and there are scores of such operators in Hong Kong. There are probably 1,000 bed spaces in these facilities. However, currently they are under the remit of the HAD. They are in close proximity to 4 peaks. Despite a lot of hikers, these camping sites feel that they are difficult to stay afloat. They're struggling to operate their business. I believe they are worth our assistance. They already have facilities, but then they are outdated or backward. But we shouldn't waste these facilities. The TD isn't with us today, but I'd like to talk about transport arrangements. For MacLehose Trail, a good transport measure is in place. That is, you forbid taxis from accessing the trail. However, each time you deploy a lot of police officers and officers from the transport department, and this is not ideal. Do you have any new methods to handle this matter? How can we enhance experience at MacLehose Trail? Some visitors expressed their discontent to me. They found that the arrangements are quite chaotic, and this have a direct impact on their experience. So I'd like to see enhancements in this regard. Thank you. Undersecretary, just now we talked about Pak Tam Chung. I'd like to ask Ruby to give you more information once again. In 2019, the CEDB and the Tourism Commission floated this proposal regarding camping sites in country parks. Just now we gave you an example. That is Tai Mo Shan. And I believe, Vincent, you will remember earlier on, we had meetings with campsite operators, and Mr. Chang, you were at the meeting as well. We explored how we could enhance camping sites facilities to dovetail with the development of Eco Plus tourism. We'll continue to maintain a close dialogue with the operators to see how we can further enhance these efforts. Regarding transport arrangements at East Dam, we already had quite some discussions. We will keep reviewing the situation, and when there is new development, we will brief members of the subcommittee on it in the future. Thank you. Ruby, anything to add? Thank you. Just now members touched upon this point, and I'd like to add something. Regarding the Green Hub at Pak Tam Chung, the AFCD conducted a planning study. It was a consultancy study. At the same time, a traffic impact study was also conducted. We need to continue to see how we can solve traffic issues. We work together with the EEB and the AFCD. The aim is to solve such transport issues, and then we will follow up on them. Well, regarding the first question, cyclone visitor centers, Will there be further efforts to enhance the visitor centers over there? Well, as I said, in 2019, the Tourism Commission under the CEDB was responsible for it. Well, yes, a study is being conducted. It's not just about traffic, it's about the experience of visitors. Thank you, Mr. Chang. I'd like to add something. A study has started since 2019 and it's been some years. Regarding the concept, are you going to take forward it or are you not going to take forward it after the study? Our focus is on East Dam, that is Sai Kung East Country Park. As for Pak Tam Chung, this is indeed a good hub. If we can construct a visitor center here, that means before going to highly popular attractions, you will first of all access a visitor center. You can enjoy a sip of coffee before you visit the popular attractions. This is actually a good idea, and I'd like to know if the administration will continue to take it forward. This idea is indeed very good. I understand resources are limited. I believe you have already finished the study. The key lies in whether you will take it forward. Will you make it happen? Ruby, in the course of our study, we found that transport is very important. If we are going to turn it into a green hub, we must resolve the issue in relation to transport first. And then during our study, another issue transpired, that is the traffic congestion issue at East Dam. We need to get it done before we carry on with our plan. We'll need to continue to undertake a study. Well, I think you need to do it backward. You need to have a green hub in order to solve the issues you faced at East Dam, thus solving other issues in Sai Kung East Country Park. At the entrance of East Dam, there are a couple of large car parks. You mentioned making better use of the space in the car parks so that you can plan the space before you decide how to go forward. As the chairman said, this is actually a starting point of the popular attractions. It's not just about transport. Indeed, that is exactly why we need to consider a basket of factors. So which policy bureau will be responsible for it? Well, it should be under the purview of the CSTB. Well, it should be under the remit of the AFCD instead. It shouldn't be under the CSTB. Well, in other words, it cuts across at least 3 to 4 policy bureaus. Is that true? Yes, thank you. Ms. Christine Fong. Thank you, Chairman. This issue cuts across a lot of different departments. Pak Tam Chung was shot to popularity not because of our promotion. On Little Red Book, visitors promoted Pak Tam Chung. Many people flocked to Pak Tam Chung, and the Travel Industry Council and the Tourism Board undertook some studies. $500 million were spent on these projects, such as Pak Tam Chung, the treetop adventure at Pak Tam Chung, and the maintenance projects at the Paw Pin Chow viewing platform. These are quite outdated projects. They were started in 2021 and 22, and it's been 5 years. It's a chicken or egg situation. You have visitors now, but you are not going to resolve the traffic issues. And you are now telling me that you require cross-departmental efforts. Well, now that we already have visitors coming to Hong Kong, we need to provide good travel experience to visitors. At East Dam, is there any management station, any pit stop? At Pak Tam Chung, we have a travel information or tourism information center. There are just a few pamphlets and a few pictures, and that's it. Can we enhance the center? Next to the information center at Pak Tam Chung, there is just one store, and that is all again. We have pull and cook camps, and we also have other outdoor camps. Why don't we consolidate these resources? ESF teachers lead a group of students of about a dozen students to these camping sites. When there is rain, young people have a canopy. They have a place to stay in. I believe we need to seriously consider the design of ancillary measures. We need to quicken the pace. You are still in the stage of detailed design. Actually, monetary resources could be given to Robin's Nest or East Dam. You mentioned rebuilding 6 flushing toilets. I'd like to know where the 92 villages are. Regarding the $200 million of subsidies, can they help villages? Such as in their application for homestay lodgings, there are all too many steps. Can you streamline the procedures? You mentioned coordinating with the HYAB. It's also about license applications. In Ham Tin 1, 500 tents, just 2 cubicles. Demands far outstripped supply. In Long K1, it takes $29.8 million to construct a public toilet. It's way too much, in my opinion. Little Red Book promotes a wide range of different areas. Probably it promotes Ham Tin 1 today, but then it promotes another area. Will you consider constructing public toilets or mobile toilets?
就住咧鄉郊。
The member asked about the work of the Countryside Conservation Office. Indeed, there will be a meeting dedicated to this area, and then we can have a more in-depth discussion on issues about public toilets in Ham Tin 1. The FEHD has plans to take forward the relevant work. In public toilets, there are visitors who use the basins for not just washing hands but also washing fruits. So there are food residues. So we are studying with the relevant department how we can properly manage the food and hygiene issues. Also, we are exploring making use of smart toilet systems. The relevant department has met with the organization that makes use of the technology. Where resources are available, we could set up smart public toilets and provide more toilet cubicles. There will also be cleaning facilities in the smart toilets. It is actually more costly to actually more cost-effective to build these permanent smart toilets. On transportation at the East Dam, at the previous discussion item, we mentioned there will be cross-departmental efforts. I agree that in the long run, we have to think about how many resources we want to devote to complete the transport-related measures. I think we have to come up with a positioning of the East Dam. It is true that the East Dam is under the management of the AFCD, and we have to refer to the development blueprint as we manage the East Dam. There are projects that help promote mega event tourism, for example. So we have to think about the positioning of the East Dam. I think all government departments have heard members' views today. Under the purview of the AFCD, we will do whatever we can do to manage the facilities. However, when it comes to cases where other departments are involved, I think we have to look at the situation holistically. Next, Mr. Dennis Leung. Chairman, we are talking about how we can promote ecotourism and cultural tourism so that we can promote economic growth in Hong Kong. We want to leverage our unique resources to ensure economic development. However, we also have to make sure that there is safety, especially environmental and ecological safety. I hope we can balance nature conservation as well as development. The paper didn't really touch on this. If we keep consuming our resources, and in the coming 8 to 10 years, we will lose all the resources and we'll have to put a stop to the development of tourism. So we have to protect our resources, and at the same time, we want to achieve sustainable development. I noticed that there's a lot of information online about how challenging the hiking trails are in Hong Kong. At the entry points or end points of these hiking trails, can more information be included so that hikers can obtain information from these spots? I know that there are many apps about with this information. However, I hope that we can step up information dissemination still. Also, there's a lack of management of certain hiking trails. Some hikers have developed their own hiking trails. Can we erect barriers or fences to make sure that hikers don't go off the hiking trails? Also, I noticed that some hikers released turtles on hiking trails, and that disrupts the ecological environment because these animals eat up the fish and shrimps in the sea. If we still want to see the precious animals and wildlife in our ecological environment, I think that we need to step up education. Undersecretary, we attach importance to ecological safety as well as sustainable development. As mentioned, as we develop ecotourism, we adhere to the principle. We take into consideration the capacity and the ecological environment as well as the potential impact on local residents. So we try to strike a balance here. Just now the member suggested disseminating information at the entrance as well as the endpoints of a hiking trail. We've been doing that. And on the point about mobile apps, the CEDB as well as OFCA have been taking forward the relevant work. For example, they have been setting up radio base stations in countryside, and 80% of the areas are covered with mobile network, and 95% of government trails are covered with wireless network. we hope to enhance the coverage to 90% or above, and that for the coverage of government trails, the coverage could reach 98% or above. Let's see if the Deputy Director has anything to add. On management of hiking trails as well as information dissemination, the Tourism Commission and the AFCD has since 2018 selected 20 hiking trails with characteristics for the Hiking Trail Enhancement Project. These are hiking trails that have been very popular and with great tourism potential. We have stepped up information dissemination on these hiking trails. We have improved the hiking trails there, and we have introduced viewing points there to enrich visitors' experience. Some of the hiking trails have been completed during Q1 this year. Yes, on release of animals. On the 6th of June, we organized an event, and we educated the public during the event how to release a fish in a safe manner. Ms. Julia Lau, I am a member of the Countryside Committee, so I support the proposal. To ensure smart mobility, we have to make sure that there is hardware in place. Public facilities such as public toilets, water filling stations, homestay lodgings, sports facilities, cultural exhibition halls, as well as stargazing facilities. Can we learn from the mainland? For example, can we organize design competition so as to promote environmental friendly ideas? We also have to promote low carbon architecture and designs. We should not adopt one single design in all countryside facilities. I'm heard that some of the hiking trails have been upgraded, but I'm not sure if you're going to implement the same design in all 25 country parks. To avoid homogeneous design, in the mainland there are design competitions to encourage creativity. And on promoting urban-rural integration, would the administration consider inviting local villages to man the operation? Also, how will you streamline short-term tenancy applications? They often involve small-scale facilities. For single-story buildings as well as relevant licenses, will you consider implementing self-certification schemes for professionals? In the past, there was an office that helped local operators register their facilities. This is to help streamline the procedure and to save time. Under Secretary, on the work of the Countryside Conservation Office, as mentioned, there will be a dedicated item on this, and we can have a more in-depth discussion in the future. We attach importance to nature conservation, and we also attach importance to promoting low carbon usage as well as village revitalization. The member asked whether we will organize competitions. I think we can explore this in the future. The member also asked about urban-rural integration. That is, will we streamline short-term tenancy applications and the fee charging system? Well, we will have a discussion with the Development Bureau. And on the work that is under the purview of the Development Bureau, perhaps members can have more exchanges with the Development Bureau in the future. Any follow-up questions? Well, my major point is to enhance speed and quality and efficiency. Well, the Development Bureau is not invited to this meeting because we are mainly discussing the policies to enhance facilities. Yes, this involves several bureaus and departments. If the relevant representatives aren't here, it's hard for us to have a discussion. Mr. Aaron Bock. Thank you, Chairman. This topic is about enhancement of ancillary facilities and related measures for country parks and popular attractions. The paper mostly touches on country parks, hiking, photo-taking spots, and the relevant measures to manage these facilities. However, there are many attraction sites in Hong Kong that cover other kinds of facilities. For example, in Ong Ping, gliding is very popular. However, there is no mention of this kind of activities at all, such as paragliding. If we are to develop ecotourism and to attract more visitors to Hong Kong, we should study how to regulate, for example, paragliding. We should also explore bike tourism. I think Hong Kong is the best place for bike tourism. In some country parks in Hong Kong, bikes are not allowed. Well, there are reasons for that. However, there are many sections in these country parks that are suitable for both hikers as well as cyclists. To give you an example, we can have cyclists in the Highland Reservoir as well as Lim Ma Hang, and that is the section from Lim Ma Hang to Robin's Nest Country Park. Sam Chung as well, there's beautiful scenery there. However, as of today, bikes are prohibited in these areas. The administration should consider allowing bikes to go in for a certain period. I think this would be a very good idea. Also, I agree with Ms. Julia Lau. I think we should streamline the application procedure for short-term tenancies. There are popular attraction sites like Lok Ma Chau and Lau Fau Shan. They are very beautiful places, but because of land issues, they are gone.
Thank you. Regarding streamlining procedures for STT, we will cover that in future meetings. Just now, Mr. Aaron Bock referred to tourism measures and products. I'd like to ask Ruby to give you more information regarding allowing bikes to access country parks. I'd like to ask Mr. Patrick Lai to reply. Thank you. Ruby, do you want to go first? Thank you. Regarding paragliding, bike tourism, we have another subcommittee meeting in which we're going to discuss paragliding. I believe we can discuss this matter in detail in due course. With regard to bike tourism, there are promotions conducted by the Tourism Board. We promote different cycling routes for visitors. We're happy to explore what kind of route is suitable for visitors. We will work with the relevant department and bureau. We will conduct promotions. Mr. Aaron Bock, well, I'm not speaking on the efforts conducted by the Tourism Board. What I mean is cycling tracks in mountains or hills. Thank you. Mr. Patrick Lai? Indeed, regarding cycling tracks, we have some cycling tracks in Hong Kong and they've been around for some time. I believe Mr. Bock meant to refer to possible conflicts between hikers and cyclists, and that's why we need to consider this. The latest one is in Lantau Island Mui Wo, there is an X-mountain bike training ground. And another place for mountain bike trail is Tai Lam Country Park. We have a place near Tin Fu Zai and one near Tai Lam Reservoir. That place allows biking, so members of the public can have outdoor activities and they can still stay in shape, they can exercise in that area. We will also conduct a review to identify even more places for recreational biking. We are willing to listen to members of the public. Thank you. First round, we have finished. Let's get started with the second round. We have 10 more minutes, so 3 questions for each, questions and answers included. Mr. Vincent Chang, thank you. Regarding the visitor centers we talked about just now, I'm not quite happy with the answer given, so I'd like to follow up on it. I'm on the website of the AFCD. There are 2 types of centers, one natural education center and the other one visitor center. Shingmun, Clearwater Bay, Sai Kung, Taimo Shan. I'd like to know the division of work. On one occasion, I drove to Sai Kung to visit the visitor center. I stayed there for about 45 minutes. No one else entered the visitor center. There were a few staff members inside the center, and they were very dedicated. Are they AFCD staff members, or are they under the Tourism Commission? What are they doing inside the visitor center? Are there any KPIs? How many activities need to be organized? Do you need to go out of the center to distribute pamphlets? Well, there is much foot traffic just outside the visitor center. However, no one entered the visitor center. I'd like to know more about the operation of the system. In a short run, you are not going to overhaul the system. But regarding the 4 visitor centers, I'd like to know whether they are under the Tourism Commission or the AFCD. What is your target? Any KPIs? Thank you. Mr. Patrick Lai. Thank you, Mr. Chang, for your questions. For visitor centers inside country parks or natural education centers, they are under the management of the AFCD. For larger visitor center, such as the one at Lions Nature Education Center, we have outsourced it to some operators for management, including dozen tours for educational purposes. For instance, in Lions Nature Education Center, many primary school children have school trips there. That is the most popular attraction. Schools will have to make advance bookings when they want to organize a trip to there. There are tour guides that will introduce the area. Regarding Sai Kung Pak Tam Chung Country Park Visitor Center, it is a so-called functional center. There is a same-day car permit going to Pak Tam Chung, and staff members will have to handle these applications or same-day pass into Pak Tam Chung. Mr. Chang made a good point. For the visitor center in Sai Kung, it's not in a prime location. The facilities are quite backward. So visitor center, refreshment kiosk, they need to be enhanced. They need to be a gateway to the geopark in Hong Kong. Just now, Chairman pointed to the importance of having a strategic location. In proximity to Pak Tam Chung, we will make enhancements, such as the treetop adventure. It will be provided near Pak Tam Chung. So we consider tourism facilities from a holistic view. We hope that the enhanced facilities will improve the experience of visitors. So we'll go back to study this issue. The consultancy study has been finished some time ago. There's been a surge in the number of visitors, so we will have to discuss with the relevant policy bureau to consider the latest figures. Well, I'd like to follow up, Mr. Vincent Chang. I agree that it is a gateway to the geopark in Hong Kong, so you really need to proactively study it in order to make it a good gateway. I hope we can continue with this discussion in our future meetings in the subcommittee. I believe the positioning of the visitor center is off the mark. When you go inside the education center or the visitor center, it is for educational purposes. It's not really for visitors. There are educational contents. There isn't any information for visitors. This way, it is difficult to attract visitors to go inside the visitor center. There is actually promotion in the tourism board. Can you incorporate more tourism elements into the visitor center, such as having a tea house or a cafe off the visitor center on weekends for people to take a rest, so that people will really go to enjoy the visitor center? Can you tell us next time what these visitor centers are doing? You do need KPIs so that we won't let this center go into waste. Thank you. I was about to ask questions on it as well. We have a total of 8 visitor centers and nature education centers. There's one in Yongping, cooperated by the AFCD and the Tourism Commission. For the remaining centers, there aren't any tourism elements at all. Am I correct? Am I right? This is exactly why the problem mentioned by Mr. Vincent Chang transpired. There is a volcano center. There is also a visitor center in Pak Tam Chung. It just serves the basic function for visitors. It's not like a counter of tourism board. It doesn't really receive visitors. Is it possible that you review the functions of these centers so that you can make enhancements? Thank you. Mr. Lai, thank you, Chairman and Mr. Chang, for their questions and views. Regarding the visitor centers and country parks, indeed we can carry out a review of their functions. Let me give you an example. For Volcano Discovery Center, this is actually a tourism resource. We have sufficient tourism resources, so when they go to Sai Kung, they can appreciate nature, they can visit different geological spots. There are also pamphlets for visitors. Just now we talked about Longping Nature Center. We provide relevant information. At the Lions Nature Education Center, it is more of an educational center. There are more educational elements. Its location, what should its positioning be? For the one in Pak Tam Chung, it should be the one that carries tourism elements. And for the center in Tam O Shan, it is exactly in one of the locations of the 4 peaks. So we provide more tourism elements and information. I believe information from the AFCD isn't sufficient. We'll have to work together with the Tourism Commission in order to provide more tourism information and elements. Thank you. Just a little bit of time left, Ms. Fong. Thank you. The administration said that they would collaborate more with the Tourism Commission. The aim is to enhance visitor centers. I support it. regarding the enhancement of country parks. In addition to this, not just visitors but also locals need country parks. There are larger country parks. There are also other hiking trails. We need to enhance the safety coefficient. We have different mountains in Hong Kong, such as high jump peaks. We also have other hiking trails, such as the Duckling Hill. We have MacLehose Trail. It's quite long. For some sections, members of the public hike on the MacLehose Trail every day. It is not a country park, but it is a highly popular hiking trail. Say the Duckling Trail, the High Jump Peak. Many members of the public access these hiking trails. So I'd like to know which department is responsible for it. Many members of the public also go to the Devil's Peak as well. Thank you. Who will take the question? Let me reply to Ms. Fong. When the Tourism Commission receives information or comments from hikers requiring enhancements, we will identify the location of the hiking trails. We will pass information to the relevant bureau responsible for these hiking trails. The requirements and demands will be related to the relevant policy bureau. Take the hiking trails on the Devil's Peak. For some hiking trails on it, there are historic relics, and there should be an explanatory board near these attractions. We have related the view to the HAD. New boards have been provided in order to provide more information to hikers. Regarding the Devil's Peak, the CEDD will conduct a large-scale project. Part of the project will enhance the hiking trails of the Devil's Peak. Signage will be improved. And we will relate the relevant views to the departments. Thank you. Members, thank you for coming to the meeting today. Thank you, the administration, for joining us. We've gone over 2 agenda items. 1. Reviewing tourism resources and the policy measures, strategies, and projects for the development of ecotourism. And the second agenda item is related to the enhancement of ancillary facilities and related measures for country parks and popular attractions. Members have provided quite a lot of views. They have related their views to the administration on developing ecotourism. They urge that a balance needs to be struck between developing ecotourism and encouraging members of the public to appreciate nature. This is indeed a good opportunity. So we hope that the administration will formulate concrete plans as soon as possible. Regarding the reservation system, there aren't many opposing views. Members consider it appropriate to implement a reservation system. So regarding the next step forward, the administration will pilot the system and then will take it forward step by step. This will more effectively manage resources. This will also facilitate visitors and members of the public. Visitors and locals alike will also be able to enjoy tourist attractions with good quality experience. Their safety will be guaranteed, and I believe this is the shared goal of the administration. We also talked about visitor centers and information centers. We talked about enhancing their functions. Our aim is to let members of the public and visitors obtain information that they need before even accessing the popular attractions. This way, they will enjoy the high-quality experience or service quality provided by the staff members. The only regret today is that we have quite a broad topic. Not many policy bureaus or departments have joined us, so in some of our discussions, they could not respond to members' concerns on the spot. I look forward to more support by the administration in our future meetings. We need to work together to enhance ecotourism. This will ensure our measures on different fronts will be enhanced. Thank you for coming to the meeting today. The last agenda item number 4. Any other business? There being no other business, meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.